ran upstairs. I woke up your sister. I said, something's terribly wrong. His lips were blue, and she burst into tears. She said he was gone, and I'm like, no.
So all of a sudden the primary breadwinner's gone and you're like in full panic mode. You had to discover alternative products that would give you the safety, the security, the peace of mind that you were looking for.
And the peace of mind I did not have.
My name's Andrew Winnett, and here is my lovely mom, Suzanne Winnett. We want to talk about kind of our origin story, how the firm came about. You know, it started with a really sad kind of starting point, but God redeemed it. And it's very cool how through one person's death, there's been a lot of life through it. So This is my mom, Suzanne Winnett. She's amazing. She's raised us hellions. Me and my brother and my sister. We won't go into the stories where I broke both my arms, or we ate too much X-Lax, or basically destroyed myself on a scooter, or any of that stuff. We won't talk about that. Today we're here to talk about what happened with Dad. So July 1st, 2009.
Yes.
I'll tell my story, but why don't you tell yours, how you remember that morning?
I was getting ready to go to church because I was leading the crafts for Vacation Bible School. I was on the phone for about a half an hour, and I was looking around the house. I didn't see your dad.
Yeah.
The light was on in his office, but he wasn't there. It seemed a little odd. I went outside, the truck was there. I'm still dealing with the administrative part of VBS. And I just sort of put that behind me because I really wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
So I go outside on the patio and I'm finishing up my conversation, and I see him sitting on the steps going down towards the grass, and his lips were blue and he wasn't moving. I got off the phone. I ran upstairs. I woke up your sister. I said, something's terribly wrong.
Yeah.
And I went back down. I was trying to talk to him. I touched him. He was cold to the touch. I called 911. Nikki went outside and she burst into tears. She said he was gone, and I'm like, no. And by then, 911 is telling me what to do. We tried to pull him up onto the flat side of the patio. We laid him down. I was doing CPR. It wasn't working.
Yeah.
And then I think you came in.
So what happened from my perspective is I'm out on my own. So I'm married, got a good job, climbing up the banking ladder. I worked at the bank. You called me that morning because we were going to go camping for July 4th.
Yes.
We were going up to the lake. Dad was filling his crazy 1972 antique RV that he bought, and he's getting that stuff all packed and doing what he normally does for a camping trip, going freaking all out on preparations and stuff. And you called and left a message, and I had checked it, and it was like 8 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, and it was about the camping stuff. And I said, I think I texted you, I'll call you back when I'm on my break, or I've got some time. And then you called me again and left a message, and I'm like, that's weird. And I knew that's bizarre. It was you who left a voicemail and you were crying, and I'm like, oh my God. So I call you back, and I don't think you answered your cell phone. I called the house phone. This is back when we had house phones. And Nikki answered, and she said those words that I'll never forget, I think Dad's dead. And that was like, what? Like, so out of left field for me. Like, I went into shock because I'm like, how can Dad be dead? What does that mean? And like, I remember locking everything up and getting in my green Toyota Camry and making that normally 20-minute drive from Roseville, California to Auburn. And I'm trying to go like 150 miles an hour to get back because I'm like, what if he's not dead and like I've got a minute left with him, or like, so I'm like, I don't care about the speed limit. But there's so much freaking traffic that I can't even go fast. And I remember thinking like, what am I about to walk into? Like, I was thinking about you because I'm like, Dad was a primary breadwinner, and he had previously made great money. Like really good money.
He worked with IBM.
IBM was like a network analyst or some, he was the nerd, but he was a sharp nerd. He was very smart and knew his stuff. But Evan and Nikki, my younger brother and younger sister, they were living at the house still, and Nikki's only 15 at the time, right?
19 and 15.
Yeah. And so I'm like, what am I going to walk into? And I remember getting into Vintage Oaks, which is the neighborhood which we grew up in, blowing through the last stop sign, going up Vintage Way, which is that crazy long hill that I have a lot of scars from. And as I crested over, I see all these lights. Yeah. The sheriff's cars, the ambulances, the fire trucks. Yeah. I remember pulling up, jumping out of my car, jumping over the bushes, running through the already open front door and seeing all these uniforms with their heads down. I remember seeing your friend.
Joyce?
Yes. And she was like, she's amazing, by the way. She's just had the most tender heart. And it was just so cool to have her there. But I remember running through and seeing the paramedics, you know, on the outdoor patio furniture that we had, and they had already like done their work.
He was on the gurney.
He was on the gurney, he was gone. And they were with their heads down because they knew what was coming, you know? I remember that day, it was such a difficult day. I've never been so tired. And like when people go through that loss, the exhaustion, like it's like in your bones. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I just remember being in denial, not being emotional. It's like this can't be happening. Finally, when our pastor was there, when more friends were there, and we were praying, and then just everything, all the emotions came out.
I'll tell a quick story. I don't even know if I've shared this with you. Mm-hmm. So you're hearing it live. This is a first. I definitely haven't shared it in public for sure, but I'll share here because I think enough time has passed. So I was really considering, you know, me being the super like believing in God, like I know God can do miracles. I've seen them happen. And I'm like, well, listen, Jesus raised himself from the dead. Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. I remember I went around the corner, I went into the RV, and I'm like pleading with God. I'm like, God, if you tell me, I don't care if I look like a fool, I will go over there and tell my dad to get up. And I'm like, God, I have the faith for it. I believe that you can do it. And this is crazy. There's like a handful of times in your life where you're so sincere and you're so broken that you know God is so close to you. He's hearing every word.
He's carrying you.
And I remember, like, God, I promise you, I don't care who watches, I'll do it in front of everybody. I will tell him to get up. And you know what? Crazy as it sounds, I remember looking up in the clouds, and in the clouds, there was an N-O. Like God said, no. And I freaking lost it because then I realized, oh, he's really gone. Like there's nothing I can do to make this change.
Right.
That was hard. That was when the emotions came for me. And obviously that first month was extremely difficult, just brutally difficult. I talk about how we're just trying to pick up the financial pieces because all of a sudden the primary breadwinner's gone and you're like in full panic mode, right? Now, thankfully, there was a death benefit, a life insurance death benefit, and you did what most people do when they get a windfall of cash. You went down to your local Edward Jones or Charles Schwab or TD, whatever it is, right? You went down there. Yeah. We won't say the financial advisor's name, but you invested it in the market.
Mutual funds.
Yep.
Yes.
Now, this is right after the global financial crisis, so this is scary, volatile times.
Fall of 09.
Yeah. During that time where your money's invested in the market, you're majorly struggling, right? You're having to go back to work at a sew-and-vac place for minimum wage in California.
By the way,
$7 an hour. You went back to school to get certification to get into the medical field because you hadn't worked in 20 years.
Correct.
Well, you did. You were raising us hellions, right? And really, you had to have grandma move in to help with the payments. She was getting older, so you were trying to take care of her because she's slowing down. Right. So it was kind of a win-win, but bottom line was you were working for minimum wage, trying to get a certification, trying to take care of Evan and Nikki. So difficult, so difficult. And you fast forward a little bit, I was in your house and I'm looking at your statements and I realized that you had made like $3,000 in your mutual funds, but it all was eaten up by fees.
Most of it.
And I'm like, what? It made me so mad. This is my mom, okay?
Yeah.
I felt responsible as the eldest son to take care of you. This is my mom.
Yes.
No one is gonna take advantage of my mom.
You had my back.
I did. That led me on this journey where we had to discover alternative products that would give you the safety, the security, the peace of mind that you were looking for.
And the peace of mind I did not have.
That's exactly right. You were stressed out, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I was in my, mid-50s?
Yeah.
And the thought of going back to work, let alone going back to school, was
So why were you stressed
hard.
out about all your money?
Well, the house was going on 20 years.
20 years that you'd owned it.
Well, when I left, it was 20 years. So
Okay.
repair work, Nikki, finishing raising Nikki.
Yeah.
Just trying to be frugal with the money that I had. Just
Did
a
you
lot.
lose any money during the global financial crisis, 07, 08?
I have no idea.
You're not alone in that. Most women don't know where their money's at. I see it all the time.
You have to understand, in 07, 08, your dad was unemployed. He was
yeah.
one of the thousands that were laid off from IBM.
That's true.
We were living off our savings, our retirement.
I forgot about that. So fast forward, we realize there's some problems with the current investment strategy. We start looking into different types of guaranteed products.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
We were able to unwind what that financial advisor had done. We rolled it over into different types of fixed index annuities, accumulation annuities, and income annuities. We did a mix because at the time you were still kind of a ways away from retirement in a sense of
Correct.
a normal retirement age.
Yes.
You also were going to have a little bit more money coming from grandma at some point, and then
Yes.
if you sold the house and moved, which you were planning on doing, there was a little bit more money. Now, it was by no means millions.
I was caregiving her.
Yeah.
At that point, she had had a second heart attack and 3 mini strokes, so I became a full-time caregiver.
So I talk about this. So you were able to quit working for $7 an hour, going after the $9 an hour?
Yeah.
Oh, well, geez, you were loaded, man. Swimming in money. $9 an hour. Forgive me, I'll change that. You were able to quit that though because you had reoccurring revenue coming in from those products.
Correct.
So you had monthly income.
Correct.
And your money was out of the market. It participated in the upside of the market, but none of the downside. So you were able to focus on your mom. The bottom line
Yes.
is because you, at that point, were able to be free financially with guarantees, you could focus on the things that you needed to focus on at the time.
Yes.
Taking care of mom, your
Finishing
mom,
raising Nikki.
and taking care of the kids.
Yes.
Right. Then grandma passes at 100.
Yes.
Miss Energizer Bunny.
Yes.
Sold the house, you had some more money, and we basically put it in similar types of products, based upon your needs. Your long-term care is taken care of. You are earning $70,000 per year plus, but you're not living on that. You're just deferring it, so good for you. You bought a home in Spring Hill,
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
I can travel to go see the 8 grandkids. I can tithe to my church. I can give my donations to the groups I care about, and I'm living comfortably
I love that.
and stress-free.
Stress-free. So what about your scenario? What about your plan makes it stress-free?
I don't have to worry about losing money in the market.
Yeah.
And that was always a huge concern because when I was in my 50s, it was, do I go back to work? My memory's not as good. I'd have to learn more information for a new career. And now that I'm in my 60s, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
and that's a praise.
Well, so for you, obviously, although it had a very sad beginning, because of your story, I started the company with you in mind. How can we help people who are just like my mom? I talk about this all the time, but 4 out of 5 men die married, 4 out of 5 women die single. And sometimes it's more. In our family, it's 100% of the women outlast the men. That's crazy. And so what we've focused on with this firm, both in California and then out here as we go national, is helping predominantly women. 90% of our clients are women, and the 10% that are men have their wives in mind and are taking care of
That's
them.
wise. That's very wise.
Yes, but we want to focus on the women because we understand that when the guys inevitably die, and we die first, we're the ones that I joke around doing the triple backflip gainers off the ladders, and we're the ones eating too much hot chicken and playing hot potato with dynamite and stuff like that. We're the ones, we die first. But when we die, we often leave behind a bag of money to the spouse, the female spouse, and they have no clue what to do with it because they weren't brought in, nor are they're not logically minded, so it's more emotional for them, which makes it difficult to stare at. They don't want to stare at it. They just want to bury their head in the sand and just, I hope it's okay.
They're raw.
They're raw. That's true.
raw.
That is true. That's a very good way of putting it. So as we kind of wrap this up, I mean, thank God that God redeems all things and He uses all things together for good. Even just because it's not good doesn't mean that God can't use it for good.
He does.
And Dad dying
At 45.
at 45 was not good.
No.
But God used it in an indirect way to redeem literally thousands of people.
Yes.
Have been helped from this company.
Absolutely.
So I know I'm very pleased with that, and it's just kind of cool to see how something so terrible has brought so much life. What would you, we kind of wrap this up, what would you say to people who, maybe females, women just like yourself, maybe they're not single, divorced, or widowed yet, right? But at some point, the majority of them will be during their retirement. What would you say to them when it comes to our approach?
Well, before you lose your spouse, your partner, your life partner, get your ducks in a row while you still have him. So when you do lose him, you don't have this giant void, this giant black hole that you don't think you can get out of. You know, you care about people. You have enough products, you see what works best for that person in that situation, and that was very comforting to me because, again, with the other company, it was like, okay, this is what we have, we'll make it work for you.
Kind of fitting a square peg in a round hole.
Correct.
Happens a lot.
So, and you know, if your financial planner doesn't have your back and you don't feel secure and safe, there's a problem. If that little inkling is there, then there's a problem.
Now, I've always said women have the gift of discernment. I think God gives women discernment way more than men. I am so clueless on stuff sometimes that my wife's picking up on, like, that's sketchy. I'm like, oh, he's probably a really stand-up guy, you know? Like, my wife's like, yeah, there's a red flag right there. What advice would you give to someone who maybe already is single, divorced, or widowed, and they're with a financial advisor that they're starting to have, especially with what's going on right now, starting to have some red flags? What would you say to them?
You have to listen to that still small voice. And as uncomfortable as it is, even though you feel secure right now, but you know that you know it's wrong, you've got to take the energy, the mental stamina, and shop it. Shop it around, research it, and find a place where you can land and you feel like, I'm set, I'm good, this company has my back, and I don't have to worry. Because you lose years worrying. You know?
And that's true. I say this all the time, like, stress is the #1 killer because stress is what leads to chronic illness, cancers, heart attacks, stroke. Stress is the root. And so if you're stressed out, have you looked at the market lately?
No, I don't.
You haven't looked at the market? The market's crashing.
I hear some stuff, but no.
You don't care, huh?
No, I don't, because I'm feeling very secure. I know that my money is making money. I get my monthly stipend. I'm good.
So you're not trying to time the market? You're not trying to wait till, well, maybe it'll go up a little bit more and then I'll cash out, you know, for
not at all.
millions.
Not at all. Not at all.
Something to be said about that.
Absolutely.
Well, I've got to tell you something, Mom. At the timing of this video, we have the highest and the most 5-star reviews of any financial advisor or financial planner in all of Middle Tennessee.
Well, praise God.
And that goes to show you that, first of all, we have the best clients in the world. I mean, the best. They're like their family. But #2, it's that peace, that safety, that security. They can have the retirement of their dreams, and they don't have to worry about what's going on around them, the fallout, this carnage of what's going on in the market. They can participate in market upside, but none of the downside. They can have a steady stream of income that grows each year to help offset inflation.
You give them options.
We give them options, and we really shoot for a spirit of excellence. We really try to make sure they're taken care of from start to finish.
Absolutely.
We love on them, bless them. I'm really excited that you were able to do this.
Well, thank you for having me.
Appreciate you, Mom. Love you.
I love you too.
You're amazing. So that is our interview with my mom, Suzanne Winnett. This is basically the reason why I started this company. And we're on a mission, Mom, to help 1 million women just like you obtain the safe, secure, incredible retirement of their dreams. They're able to retire with more than just dignity, and they're not going to be stressed out and fretting about their future. The best truly is yet to come for them.
And another blessing for me is I can use my money to better the world.
Yes, you've got more than enough. Way
Because
more
I
than
have
enough.
more than enough, yes.
Yeah, you're able to be generous.
Right.
Doesn't matter if it's a child, a grandchild, a charity, a church, whatever is important to you. If you're in survival mode,
Yes.
isn't it so much better to give than to receive? The
Oh, absolutely.
satisfaction you get by
Yes.
giving.
Yes.
But if you don't have the exit, so
Yeah.
that's strategy number 5 in the book.
Good.
World-changing generosity.
Yes, bloom where you're planted.
Yeah. Bloom where you're planted. What are we? Tulips, or are we doing roses? What?
Basil.
Basil. Okay, well, that was out of left field. Basil. Okay. That was it, folks. Hope you got a lot out of this. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear your comments. We love y'all, and I hope you have an awesome day. We'll see you.